Once upon a time, Jean was working on a massive project. A powerful golem-like machine called Titan. As Jean was adjusting the machine, his father stood by, curious about how to control such a massive creation. Jean-kun, his father asked, how do you move this thing? Jean calmly responded, it will move as we command it. The structure is the same as a golem, but there's something I need to tell you. But what? His father asked, intrigued. I actually built a cockpit inside the torso, just in case I ever wanted to ride it, Jean admitted with a slight grin. So please be careful, father. With a nod, his father cautiously entered the machine, testing out the controls. Jean reassured him, I've made sure the core takes care of all the magic and movement details. The vision system works great too. Looks like everything's functioning smoothly. The colossal machine stirred to life, and Jin's father marveled at its fluid movements. Wow, it's moving, he exclaimed. Their target was a practice dummy, one of the Gigasses, a massive golem built for testing. Jean activated the solid barrier, protecting the operator inside while smashing the outer shell of the dummy. With just one blow, Jin's father marveled. That's the effect of the solid barrier, Jean explained. It saves the person inside while destroying the enemy. Suddenly, Jin's father looked queasy. I feel nauseous, he muttered. Father, Jean called out in concern. You always get motion sickness even in a carriage. Maybe leave this to us next time. Reluctantly, his father agreed. All right, but there are still a lot of things I need to make. Titan alone won't be enough. Jean thought for a moment. We also need a way to transport it. Titan can't move all the way to Celeroa by itself. Good point, his father nodded. We'd better come up with something before emergencies happen. Jin's mind raced with possibilities. How about air transportation? The albatross can't handle the weight, so we'll have to build something else. Something that can deploy Titan while suspended mid-air. Like a VTOL, his father suggested. Exactly. We can use a Magi jet engine. With a couple of those, we'll be able to deploy Titan. Jin's father smiled. Thanks to the resources and magic crystals we have on Horai Island, no other country can rival your creations. Jean shook his head. It's not about that. I've realized that, even though we have this power, we don't know the enemy's strength. I need to protect the people I care about. His father placed a hand on his shoulder. That's what makes you strong, Jean-kun. You're kind because you want to protect others. Just then Elsa, a close companion, chimed in with a shy smile. Can I call you Jean and I from now on? Feels like we're family. Jean chuckled. I guess so. From now on, Elsa will be my sister. Then please take care of me, Jean and I, she said sweetly. Of course, Jean replied warmly. In the days that followed, Jean and his team reinforced their military strength, mass-producing Titans and VTOLs, and upgrading their weapons. Jean even built a craftsman-type golem to handle mass production. Horai Island's military forces grew rapidly, with specialized units for land, sea, and air. There were made golems, special ops forces, anti-gigas squads, and even a supreme commander, Nida Jean. One day they received important news. Reinhardt, a close ally, discovered suspicious activity in Xiren town Celeroa. A Magi craftsman named Sanso with the code name Delta was excelling in rare Magi crystal handling. Jean suspected Eldrite was involved, the material known for causing golems and automata to malfunction. The next day, Jean and his team prepared to meet Sanso and discuss Magi craft topics at Sterina's home. Before they departed, Jean mentioned another mission. Constructing a submarine base at Osir Lake. Elsa waved them off. Jean and I, Reiko-chan, be careful. Don't worry, Jean reassured her with a smile. We'll be back soon. Jean and Reiko arrived in their flashy vehicle, instantly catching the attention of their old friend Reinhardt. It's been a while, Jean. Reiko-chan. You're as flashy as always. Reinhardt greeted them warmly. Good to see you, Reinhardt, Jean replied with a smile. Is Elsa all right? And mine-san too. Yes, they're both fine, Reinhardt confirmed. That's good to hear, Jean said, visibly relieved. By the way, did you fly here? Can I get on that thing? Reinhardt asked, eyeing their vehicle with excitement. Of course, Jean replied, gesturing towards the vehicle. Soon they arrived at Sterina's mansion in Celeroa. Welcome, Jean-kun and Reiko-chan, Sterina greeted them. Long time no see. It's been since the Golem exhibition, right? Yeah, it's been a while, Starina-san, Jean responded. Sorry about the trouble Dominique caused. How's Dominique-san? Jean asked. She's imprisoned in Igria now. She's calmed down and is cooperating in the search for the unifiers. It was almost like she was possessed back then, Starina explained, her voice softening. As I thought, she was under a brainwashing spell, Jean murmured. Well, at least she's cooperating now. Just then Sanso Delta, a magi craftsman, entered the room. Nice to meet you. My name is Sanso Delta. He introduced himself. Jean nodded. I'm Jean Nito, also a magi craftsman. I heard we're going to talk about golems today. Sanso smiled warmly. Right. I've been looking forward to this discussion. The only thing an old man can do is pass on his knowledge to the young. As they settled into their conversation, Sanso's knowledge seemed vast, but something felt off to Jean. Sanso mentioned a dangerous material, eldrite, which was prohibited for use in golem crafting. Jean raised an eyebrow. That's prohibited, right? Sanso smirked. Sometimes to build high-quality golems, we have to break the rules, he said with a dark edge to his voice. To obey the Queen of Automata. Elena-sama. Jin's heart sank. Elena? So you're with the unifiers? Sanso's demeanor shifted. It's too late now. Come, my golems, he shouted. My golems have already surrounded this place. I'm going to capture you, Jean Nito. Jean quickly turned to Reiko. Be careful not to destroy the house, he warned. Yes, Reiko nodded. They moved outside, where Sanso's eldrite-reinforced golem stood in their way. Focus your attacks on her. Sanso ordered his golems, directing them toward Reiko. Reiko, unfazed, activated the magic artillery they had prepared. In an instant, the adamantite-coated bullets fired at Mach 20 speeds, obliterating the enemy golems. They're gone. In the blink of an eye, Sanso stammered. Realizing his forces had been completely wiped out, Jean approached him. Sanso-san, you know about eldrite processing, don't you? Sanso's face paled. Why would you ask that? What are you planning to do, he stammered. That's prohibited, Jean reminded him firmly. But we need your help. Before Sanso could respond, he suddenly panicked. The unifiers. They're planning an attack on Klein and Igria at noon today. We must stop them, he shouted. Jin's heart raced. What? The kingdom of Klein and Igria? Reiko stepped forward. Let's head there now. But their trusted companion Rukin intervened. My lord, instead, you should prepare for the decisive battle with the unifiers at Celeroa. You can't possibly be in two places at once. Jean clenched his fists, understanding the gravity of the situation. Got it. I'll leave it to you. All squads scramble, he commanded. As the plan fell into motion, the Condor prepared to transport the Titan Golem to Klein and Igria. Jean, though worried, placed his trust in his team. Now everyone, let's show them the strength of Horai Island, he said with resolve, ready for the upcoming battle. In the heart of Alban, the capital city of the Klein Kingdom, chaos erupted as alarm bells tolled. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! Echoed through the streets as soldiers scrambled into position. Strange flying vehicles descended on the city. Flying vehicles? Is this some kind of fairy tale? A soldier exclaimed. Count Walter barked orders at his men. Who are those people? Lithia Farhite rushed to him, panic in her eyes. Count Walter! Idiot! Don't come here carelessly, Lithia. Unknown flying objects are slowly gaining ground. They've got golems on them. It'll be dangerous if they land. I'll heal you right now. Lithia offered, noticing his injuries. You're very good at healing magic. After all this is over, you should transfer to the Rescue Knight squad. Rescue Knight? Lithia repeated, uncertain. Well, if we manage to survive this, that is. Walter grimaced, looking to the sky. If Jean-san were with us, would we stand a better chance? Suddenly a loud crash echoed from above. What's this? The enemy. They're falling from the sky. Walter shouted in disbelief. Report. The magic cannon hit the enemy balloon. The balloon is touching down. Came the urgent update from a scout. At the Horai Island Research Facility, updates flowed in. Be careful not to cause vital injury, an officer warned. The Klein army can handle the descending enemies. The land squad has already taken care of the ground invaders on Igria's side. Looks like we have no choice. Deploy the paratroopers, another officer decided. Opening rear hatch. In Igria airspace, paratroopers began their descent towards Ascent Castle. Destination: Igria capital, Ascent Castle. Deployment initiated, the captain announced. On the ground, soldiers fought with all their might. Damn it, don't come any closer, one shouted as a golem attacked. Ah! That was one insanely sharp blade. The golem was sliced in two. But who are those guys? Inside Ascent Castle, the situation grew dire. The wind howled through the halls as the enemy closed in. There's no end to this. This is bad, Latte-san exclaimed. Please take care of the young master. Ryla-san, determined to protect the young master, shouted, I'm already at my limit. I'll use the last of my magic to make an opening. Use it to take the young master out of here. Don't do that, Ryla. I'll be the one to. You are our last chance. Please, I beg you. With a final burst of magic, Ryla unleashed her spell. Storm Rush. Now go. Latte hesitated but couldn't deny Ryla's sacrifice. She rushed out with the young master in tow. Back on the battlefield, Jin-sama's golems appeared, turning the tide of battle. Is this Jin-sama's magic power? Jin-san's. Latte whispered in awe. Young master, are you all right? Foreign Minister Kirchador appeared beside them, breathless. Ryla and Latte have been protecting me. And Jin-san's golems came to rescue us. Jin? Really? Those are Jin Naidu's golems. Latte asked, relief evident. Kirchador nodded. It looks like we've been helped by him again. At Horai Island HQ, another report came in. Enemy balloons and golems have been suppressed. All that's left is to help the armies of both countries. It's amazing that we can prevent them from using gigas. We've suppressed the threat, an officer reported with pride. Really? Excellent, Rookin replied. Where are you right now? I'm visiting the submarine base at Osir Lake. We're going to analyze the enemy's blind spot. They used balloons to attack. If we don't find their hideout soon. About that, the officer interrupted. Among the items the land squad seized, there's a document that might be a clue. There are coordinates for the west coast of Osir Lake. Fortunately, it's close to the submarine base. Do you think they're going to make a move now? We plan to observe the situation for a few days, but we really don't know their movements for now. Send a recon squad to the suspicious location. We will gather our forces once we confirm their position. After the submarine base is complete, we will raid the Unifier's base. Let's put an end to this. In the midst of a tense war council, the atmosphere was thick with anxiety and urgency. A group of commanders faced their leader, their faces marked with defeat. We couldn't take Klein and Igria? One of the commanders muttered with disbelief. We're very sorry. The forces we sent were suppressed by a mysterious enemy. Another quickly apologized. The leader's fist clenched. What the hell is this? He slammed the table in frustration. We can still win if we attack now. It's all right. Both kingdoms must still be in chaos. His voice grew calmer, more calculating. If we include the remaining golems and gigas in the Unifier's hands, this world will be ours. His words hung in the air as everyone around him stood frozen, listening. Mother's power will be known to the world. Suddenly, a scout burst into the room out of breath. Report. Some figures have been spotted in the sky. The leader's eyes narrowed. Sky? That's ships flying in the sky? How can that be? Another commander looked towards the horizon with realization dawning on his face. I see. This is his deed. G-Nide. Without hesitation, the leader barked orders. Circle around and attract their attention. Deploy the Titans at the land squad's left wing. Roger, came the swift reply. I'll prepare for the drop. Another officer confirmed, steel in his voice. Okay, please do as we planned. The leader's expression grew colder. Now, let's return the favor. Order to everyone. Commence the operation. The Unifiers must be annihilated. The commanders responded in unison. Roger. The room buzzed with the preparations for a full-scale counterattack. Deploy the gigas, one of them shouted. Intercept the Gigas with Titans, another chimed in. Land Squad, handle the golems. More orders flew around. Roger. Attack the humans with paralyzers. Intercept the balloons with the albatross, came the replies as the operation unfolded. Yet, despite the chaos of the battle, the leader couldn't shake a gnawing sense of dread. What is this? What am I seeing now? He muttered in disbelief as he stared at the battlefield. No, the difference in power is too vast. The difference in technology is staggering. Elena, he called to his trusted advisor, let's retreat. If we still have you, the unifiers can be defeated another day. But Elena shook her head, her expression fierce. What are you talking about? What will we do after that? If we run, the enemy will only grow stronger. We must crush them here right now. There's no way Mother's power will lose to them. Elena, the leader began, unsure. No, we'll kill Jean Naidu. He must be somewhere on the battlefield, she insisted, determination shining in her eyes. It may be hard, but we will find and kill him. This is the only way we can win. Jewel, another key figure in their ranks, nodded solemnly. That's right. We must win. Everything we've worked for will be lost if we don't. Mother's existence. My purpose. I will prove it by killing Jean Naidu. I am the best. Suddenly alarms blared. What? The leader exclaimed. All systems are adjusted, a voice confirmed through the communication line. We're going to make a path while dropping. Okay. Father, please wait on the VTOL for a while, someone called out, their tone urgent. Then a loud crash echoed from the battlefield. Impossible. The castle wall. It's... A soldier's voice screamed in disbelief. Elena! Roland, another warrior, shouted, looking at the devastation. Jean Naidu appeared, standing tall amidst the chaos, his presence undeniable. With a fierce gaze, Elena stepped forward. I've come as you asked. To destroy you. Elena! Roland! Jean Naidu's name echoed in the air as the final clash was about to begin. In a tense, battle-ready atmosphere, the air crackled with anticipation as Jean Naidu faced off against the formidable duo, Elena and Roland. I've come to destroy you, Jean declared, his resolve unwavering as he confronted his enemies. Elena, Roland, he shouted, urging them to be cautious. Let's go inside. This place is a fortress from the Great War era. We have traps and golems in there. Wait, Roland. Elena interjected, glancing around as if searching for an opportunity. I think we should take the fight further in. We can use their blind spots to our advantage. Are you suggesting a surprise attack? Roland asked, eyes narrowing in contemplation. Right, Jean confirmed. If we can lure him inside, we might have a chance. I know he's coming here himself, so if we can catch him off guard. I'm all for it, Roland replied with a determined glint in his eyes. Victory has been long overdue. They all agreed. There was no time to be picky about their methods. The desire for victory fueled their ambition, and Jules' voice echoed in their minds. I'll make you become the best. Jean thought of his wish for Mother, echoing the sentiment of longing. Damn it! This place is full of traps, Roland exclaimed, barely dodging a hidden mechanism. Indeed, Elena added. But these golems are nothing to me. They seem to be buying time for their escape. What do you plan to do with them, Father? What is my plan? I'm not sure myself, Roland admitted, casting a wary eye around. First, we must understand why they are doing this. What do they have in store for us now? Elena was quick to respond. Whatever they say, I won't agree with them. They must pay for their crimes. I agree. If we had noticed sooner. Maybe it wouldn't have turned out this way, Roland sighed, shaking his head. But we can't change the past. Suddenly, Elena cried out, Father. Watch out. As Jean leaped into action. Jean Naidu. Roland shouted, drawing his sword. Die. A fierce clash erupted as Roland unleashed a powerful strike. This can't be broken by Tuka, an adamantite sword. Jean countered, weaving through the attacks. Flame lance. Elena cried, summoning her magic. You really are a monster, Roland sneered. Not a monster. An automata, Jean retorted, gritting his teeth. Then I'll defeat you and become the best, Roland declared. The best? Jean echoed, a smirk playing on his lips. That's right. The best. The goal is the same for both of us, Roland said bitterly. It took us 10 years to get this far. And it took only a few months for you to fall apart. We really didn't like you since we first met, Roland continued, his voice dripping with disdain. You said you would fix her left arm. And that really pissed me off. Because I couldn't even do it myself. I can't do it even though I have an artifact, Roland spat, anger flaring. You nonchalantly said, I can do it. It's great to have everything go your way, right? Roland, is that really how you feel? Jean asked, genuinely surprised. Of course, Roland replied with conviction. You think these true feelings are my brainwashed ones by Elena? Don't you see? If you think about someone's heart, you should know, Jean countered. If you ask me when I became like this. It was useless to ask something like that from the beginning. Then I'll untie that bind. Roland shouted defiantly. I refuse, Jean declared, his voice steady. You talk too much, Roland retorted. If I kill you, will Reiko stop? That's impossible, Jean replied, eyes narrowing. You can't kill me. Father. Do you really have time to care about others? Roland challenged, his persistence unnerving. Why are you always in my way? Roland cried out in frustration. I want to meet Mother. In a fit of rage, Roland unleashed a furious attack, screaming, Take this! As magic surged around him. Calm down. Don't do that, Elena. Jean shouted, his concern evident. Shut it! She roared, determination flaring in her eyes. I don't care anymore. I'll destroy you all. The chaos intensified, and the tension in the air thickened. Jean realized that Elena was no longer in the mood to talk. Then it can't be helped, he murmured, glancing at Reiko. Please put an end to this. I will settle this. Reiko vowed, stepping forward to confront the impending storm. The battle was far from over, but the stakes had never been higher, and the outcome rested in their hands. In a dimly lit chamber, the air was tense with uncertainty as Elena confronted Jean Naidu, the leader of the Unifiers. Commander, we've found someone who claims to be the leader of the Unifiers. A voice broke the silence. Elena stepped forward, curiosity piqued. This is the first time we meet like this. I am Jean Naidu, leader of the Unifiers, the man replied with conviction. In other words, I represent the main body. Main body? Elena asked, puzzled. Jean gestured to his surroundings. As you can see, I have used the artifact to run the organization. However, this body can't do anything at all. I need the artifact to command the Unifiers. So, you returned to the main body because the artifact was destroyed? Elena inquired. Yes, Jean said, a hint of regret in his voice. It's finally ended. Elena pondered this revelation, then spoke with empathy. Jean Naidu, I want to ask a favor. Please kill me. Since childhood, I've been brainwashed by Elena. But that doesn't mean you're without sin, Jean replied firmly. You can't atone for your sins like that. Repairing the damage should be enough, right? You can't just die and expect to be forgiven. I won't let you commit suicide, Elena declared passionately. I'll have you make up for what you've done. As the tension hung in the air, Jin's demeanor shifted. This kind of ending I won't accept. What are you planning to do? I will repair her, he said, pointing to the dormant figure of Elena. Mother? The figure stirred as if awakening from a long slumber. What is it? Are you so happy to have a name? Jean asked, his tone softening. That's very much, the figure replied with a smile. Let's go outside. As they stepped into the light, the new Elena turned to Jean. You are the best father I could ever have. Mother, Jean whispered, overwhelmed with emotion. You've finally woken up. Did you repair me? Elena asked, looking hopeful. Yes, Jean confirmed. How do you feel? I'm good. Thank you. Do you remember anything? She probed. I was built and loved by Mother, Elena reflected. But I don't remember anything after that. Jean sighed, realizing the depth of her loss. This must be because you ceased functioning. Is that so? Then what is your name? She asked. My name is Elena. Mother gave that to me, she replied, her voice steady. With a newfound purpose, Jean declared, after this, I decided to reform the Unifiers. We made it seem like Roland's artifact body had gone haywire, convincing all nations. Elena smiled. Let's restore the world together. With determination, Jean and Elena worked tirelessly, repairing the damage caused by the brainwashing. They spread rumors and ensured that the people understood the truth. The unifiers were reformed and renamed Nostalgia, taking on a mission of world restoration under Roken's command. Jean-sama, I am off to restore the world, Elena exclaimed, her spirit renewed. Do your best, Jean encouraged, a proud smile on his face. As they embarked on their journey, they returned to Horai Island, where friends awaited their arrival. I'm back, Elsa, Jean greeted, relief washing over him. I was worried. You hadn't made any contact at all, Elsa replied, her voice laced with concern. Didn't Roken tell you I was fine? Jean asked. Still, I wanted to see your face, she admitted, smiling. Jean shrugged off the worry. Sorry for worrying you. It took time. Elsa raised an eyebrow. Is that so? You had quite the adventure, right, Jean and I? It was troublesome, he admitted. We repaired the unifiers and lifted the brainwashing. I couldn't just leave Jewel and Elena behind. Did Elena lose her memory? Elsa questioned. Essentially. I couldn't come up with a way to fix her. It's like a mental collapse, Jean explained. Maybe she finally found the meaning of the best and combined it with daughter, Elsa suggested. You're right. But it wasn't good to do that, Jean admitted. I'm glad we were able to help her. I think Elena-san is going to be okay, Elsa replied, her tone reassuring. Thanks, Elsa, Jean said, grateful for her support. By the way, Jean and you said you wanted to go to Schaller, right? Elsa asked. That's right. Let's go to Schaller, Jean exclaimed, ready for the next chapter of their journey. As they set off, Jean felt a renewed sense of hope, knowing that together, they could face any challenge ahead. On a bright sunny day, Reinhardt and Matthias were traveling through a quiet town. Nice weather, Reinhardt said casually, but Matthias seemed distracted. You look tired, Matthias, Reinhardt observed. Matthias sighed. I had to run around as your guard. But at least we can relax now that the unifiers are dealt with. I really just want to go home. Suddenly, a noise caught Reinhardt's attention. Huh, what was that? He said, looking towards a fast-approaching coach. Is that a horse? Golem? Matthias squinted, alarm rising in his voice. That speed. It's coming straight for us. Reinhardt waved off his concern. Don't worry. That's my friend. As the coach came to a stop, a familiar figure jumped down. Reinhardt. Long time no see. It was Jean Naidu, the rumored honorary Magi craftsman. Matthias, clearly skeptical, muttered under his breath, Is this the guy my sister is engaged to? What's going on between them? His suspicions flared as he observed Jean. Reinhardt talks about him non-stop. Maybe they're more than just friends. As the group moved to the inn for the night, Matthias couldn't shake his suspicion, glaring silently at Jean. While they were discussing water issues in the town, Jean, always eager to help, decided to craft a submersible pump. His skills were so impressive that Matthias became even more concerned. This guy is amazing, Matthias thought, but his mind wandered. He must have won over Reinhardt's heart with his talents. Unable to hold it in any longer, Matthias confronted Reinhardt. Reinhardt. Today it was all about Jean. You couldn't stop talking about him. Isn't that bad for my sister? Are you turning towards men now? Reinhardt blinked in surprise. Matthias, I think you're misunderstanding something here. Wait, what? Jean added, equally confused. Reinhardt laughed. Matthias, Jean and I are just friends. Dear friends, nothing more. Matthias exhaled in relief, though still slightly embarrassed by his outburst. Ah, really? A friend? Reinhardt smiled. Yes, a dear friend. Jean, feeling awkward, replied. It's a bit embarrassing to hear you say that so openly. The next day, the townspeople thanked them for the pump, and as they continued their journey, Matthias found himself reflecting on the peculiar events. Despite his earlier suspicions, he knew that the adventure with Reinhardt and Jean was just beginning. After the pump was successfully made in Hattata, Reinhardt and Jean set out for Schaller's capital, with a stop at Reusert in Amberg town, just outside the wasteland. The air was as dry as it had been in Hattata. This place is known for its dryness, even for highways, Reinhardt remarked. They call it bone-dry road. Jean, curious about the land's irrigation, asked, Doesn't Schaller have any water sources for irrigation? Reinhardt shook his head. There's no natural water here. That's why we're so grateful for the pumps. As they continued their journey, a voice called out to them. Excuse me. Are you Reinhardt-sama and Jean Nida-sama? Turning around, they saw a man approaching. I am the head of the Magi Engineer Guild in this town. The man introduced himself, bowing respectfully. I've heard of your accomplishments from Kaz-san and Hatada, and I was eager to meet you both. Reinhardt smiled. We've heard good things about your guild as well. Shall we head to your headquarters to discuss further? Once at the guild, the man excitedly shared, Jean-dano, we'd like to offer you the honorary title of Magi Engineer and Scholar. Wow, Jean, Reinhardt said, impressed. Only those who've made a significant contribution can receive such an honor. That's amazing, Jean responded humbly. I didn't think building a pump would warrant such a title. The guild head reassured him. This is a rare honor. No foreigner has ever been granted this title before. After accepting, the guild head turned serious. I have a request, Jean-dano. Could you perhaps build a pump for Amberk as well? Just then a young girl named Yus entered the room coughing harshly. Her grandfather apologized for the interruption, explaining, my granddaughter has a terrible cough that no healer has been able to cure. Jin's heart softened. May I take a look at her? Approaching Yus, Jean used healing magic, but it only provided temporary relief. Realizing that the issue went beyond a typical ailment, Jean asked to inspect the room where Yus rested. With the help of his friend Reiko's magnified vision, Jean discovered mites lurking in the blankets, causing an allergic reaction in the poor girl. This is the cause, Jean explained. These small creatures, called mites, thrive in dust and cause allergic reactions when their remains are inhaled. In a burst of inspiration, Jean used his skills to craft a vacuum cleaner, a device that would help keep the room clean and free of the harmful mites. The room sparkled after its first use, and Yus's condition immediately began to improve. Thank you, Gino-nyakin. Yus said gratefully, smiling for the first time in days. After setting a price for the new devices, the guild head marveled at Jin's ingenuity. You've done wonders, Jean-dano. Your creations, though cheaper than the pump, are invaluable to the people here. The group stayed the night in Amberk and continued their journey the next morning, their hearts lightened by their accomplishments. As they approached the capital, Reinhardt's fiancée, Berthie, ran to greet him, her eyes sparkling with joy. Jean smiled to himself as he witnessed their reunion, feeling content with the role he played in making life a little better for those they met along the way. The journey continued, but their stop in Amberk would remain a memorable chapter in their adventure. The grand hall of the Scholar Empire bustled with anticipation as Berthie gazed. A confident woman entered with a warm smile. Nice to meet you, Jean Nido-sama, she said, bowing gracefully. Reinhardt-sama has told me much about you. As his guest, you are also my guest. Welcome to the Scholar Empire. I'll be in your care. Jean, slightly caught off guard by her directness, responded politely, by the way, Berthie, did you come all the way here just to greet us? Definitely. I've already prepared rooms for us, she replied with enthusiasm. Besides, today is Reinhardt-sama's birthday, isn't it? I was worried you might not make it in time. Reinhardt, who had been listening quietly, chuckled. That girl cares more about her fiancé than her brother, he teased, feeling the shift in the atmosphere. But since it's my birthday, I guess it's okay. Jin's face lit up in surprise. Wait, I didn't know it was your birthday. I haven't prepared anything, he said, suddenly flustered. Happy birthday, Reinhardt-sama. Reinhardt waved it off with a grin. It's fine, Jean. It's been a while since I could have a proper rest. I just want to enjoy the evening. The party continued with gifts exchanged, each one more impressive than the last. Reinhardt smiled as Reiko, his automata daughter, performed a graceful dance, stunning the audience with her elegance. I've never seen such an incredible automata, Berthie commented, eyes wide with admiration. She's beautiful, almost human-like. Thank you, Jean replied, feeling a mix of pride and surprise. Reiko worked hard on that performance. As the night went on, conversations flowed effortlessly, and the celebration reached its peak. However, as the festivities wound down, Reinhardt approached Jean with a more serious expression. Jean, I can't keep it to myself any longer. I have a favor to ask of you, Reinhardt said, his voice low. Jean blinked, surprised by the sudden shift in mood. A favor? The Empress wants to meet you, Reinhardt revealed, his tone heavy with importance. Jin's heart raced, unsure of what this meant. What? He whispered, the weight of the request sinking in as the night closed in around them. In the grand empire of Schaller, Jin Naidu found himself standing before the mighty Empress Gerhardt Hilda von Rubius Schaller. As the Empress welcomed him with a regal air, her voice echoed in the majestic hall. Welcome to Schaller, Jin Naidu. I am Gerhardt Hilda von Rubius Schaller, Empress of this land. I've heard quite a bit about you, Jin Naidu, she said with a soft, almost playful laugh. People are often surprised when they first meet me, knowing a woman sits on the throne of an empire. Jin, slightly taken aback, responded, it wasn't the throne that surprised me, but how suddenly Reinhardt brought me here. And yet, you feel oddly familiar to me. Is that so? The Empress smiled knowingly. Is the principal doing well? Now tell me, is there anything you require of me? Clearing his throat, Jin said, according to the guild report, I heard you've made 3 magical tools. A pump, a microscope, and a vacuum cleaner. The Empress raised an eyebrow, slightly embarrassed. Yes, it's true. But I hear you possess knowledge of something called science. I would love for you to give a lecture about it. A lecture about science? That would take time, Jin explained. I'd need to start from the basics to ensure understanding. The Empress seemed to ponder this for a moment. I see. I was too impatient. But I must ask, Jindano, do you know of gigas? To some extent, yes, Jin replied cautiously. A group called the Unifiers recently used them to wreak havoc in several nations. The Empress nodded gravely. Our nation has discovered something similar. A weapon larger than any gigas. It's based on ancient designs, and we believe it may be an anti-gigas weapon. She showed Jin the designs. He studied them carefully. This is enormous, he muttered. Indeed. We're planning to create golems for national defense. We need your help to ensure this technology is not misused. We don't want any more wars. We dream of using this technology to prepare paddy fields instead of weapons. Jin's eyes lit up. Paddy fields? That's an amazing idea. The Empress smiled warmly. I knew you'd understand. Shall we go and see it in action? Before long, Jin found himself by the paddy fields of Schaller. This is rice, he exclaimed. I haven't seen rice like this in a long time. The Empress offered him a bowl of porridge made from the rice, but Jin frowned slightly after tasting it. It's a bit bland and lacks fluffiness. You have a point, the Empress agreed. How do you usually cook it? Jin grinned. Allow me to show you. He took the rice, polished it, and used magic to separate the bran. This is white rice. It tastes sweeter and has a better texture. After cooking the rice properly, the Empress took a bite and her eyes widened in delight. This is incredible. It's so much better. Jin chuckled. Rice has its own magic when prepared right. Later, as the sun set, they walked by the peaceful Tosmo Lake. This place is beautiful, Jin remarked, admiring the serene view. Reinhardt approached with a smile. Yes, it's a place of great significance. My family is coming to visit soon. And as night fell, the quiet moments by the lake seemed to promise new beginnings for Jin, Reinhardt, and the Empire of Schaller. A land where technology and peace could thrive hand in hand. Once upon a time, in a bustling workshop filled with countless tools and inventions, 2 individuals were engaged in a lively conversation. One of them admired the place, remarking, "So this is your workshop. It's impressive. Did you build the Schwartz Ritter here?" The other smiled and nodded, then shifted the topic. By the way, I'm thinking of making a boat, inspired by your catamaran at Port Rock. I hope you don't mind. Not at all, came the reply. Do you have an idea of what you want? I want a boat that can carry 10 people and can be used for sightseeing, the first person explained, excitement bubbling in their voice. Their companion pondered for a moment. Then how about a big one, maybe a paddle steamer? A paddle steamer? The first asked curiously. Yes, it's a catamaran driven by water wheels. Imagine 2, one on each side. It would provide stability and efficiency. We could even use 2 golems to drive it. That's a great idea, the first person exclaimed. We'll need to think about the hub though. Can we use your carriage bearings? Yes, but we also need to consider the strength of the boat's body and the lake's depth. You're right. First, let's make a model, the other suggested, eager to start. Nearby, two other individuals noticed their enthusiasm. It seems like they're having fun, one remarked with a smile. They'll be at it for a while. Let's make lunch in the meantime, the other suggested. Sure, princess. I'll help, came the kind response. Later, as the boat design was taking shape, one of them held it up triumphantly. Look at this. This is the boat that will elegantly ferry people across Tosmo Lake. Fantastic, his friend said. Now how about some food? Is it lunch already? I didn't realize, the first responded surprised. They were soon presented with a dish, candied sweet potatoes. One of them blinked in astonishment. Candied sweet potatoes? I've never seen that before. The princess chuckled. It's a signature dish from Berthie. She made it for me often. Would you like to see how it's done? She then explained the method. Roasting the sweet potatoes with gravel for an incredible caramelization. It's all about slow heating, she explained. The starch turns into sugar, making it incredibly sweet. Her companion marveled at the knowledge. There's so much science in cooking that I don't know about. Even something as simple as roasting sweet potatoes can have a lot of history and stories behind it. Passing down these traditions is important, the princess added thoughtfully. As lunch ended, the workshop grew quiet for a moment before the conversation turned serious. We still have one more thing to take care of, one said, their tone dropping. Yes, I think the gigantic golem could be dangerous. There's a chance it may go on a rampage. Can't we use the Titan to deal with it? It's possible, but there are limits to transporting Titans. We prepared them during the Unifier's battle, but we can't use them right away. Then how about using a magi jammer to stop it? One suggested, thinking quickly. Magi jammers prevent magic from being cast, but they can't stop magic tools. The conversation deepened as they discussed the intricacies of magic, golems, and ether. Their plan began to take shape. They needed to suppress the ether to prevent the golem from using magic. After careful thought, they decided to design an ether jammer, a device to interfere with the surrounding ether. Just as they were testing their new invention, a voice rang out urgently, Jean, this is bad. The golem we excavated is. It's moving. Chaos ensued as the colossal golem, known as Goliath, started rampaging through Shalor's capital city. As it unleashed its magical power, one thing became clear. The fate of the kingdom was hanging by a thread. In the heart of the battlefield, tensions were high as the massive golem suddenly shifted its course. That giant golem. Has it changed direction? One soldier asked, his voice tight with concern. A figure rushed into view, eyes wide in shock. Your Highness. Are you all right? They called, breathless. The royal figure turned, scanning the scene. Reinhardt? Jean Dano? What is happening? A soldier rushed to explain, panic edging his words. The giant golem we excavated has gone haywire. It suddenly started heading toward the city. All eyes turned to Reiko. Do you think you can stop it? One asked, hope wavering in their voice. Reiko's response was grim. That would be a bit difficult. Something is softening the impact of my railgun blasts. I've landed a lot of direct hits, but they don't seem to be having much effect. The point of impact seems strange. Another soldier, thinking aloud, speculated maybe it used forming. Changed the properties of its shell to soften the blow. Perhaps it's automatically adapting to our attacks. Reiko considered this, her expression darkening. If that's true, long-range attacks won't be effective anymore. We need to come up with something else. Suddenly, the golem stopped in its tracks. But Reiko shook her head. No, that's not it. Something's off. The soldiers exchanged glances. What do you mean? I underestimated it, Reiko admitted, frustration creeping into her voice. Because Gigas can't fight long-range battles, I assumed the same for this golem. That was careless of me. Time was running out. It'll take a while for Titan to be transported from the submarine base. Someone reminded the group. Can we really hold it off until then? Reiko's resolve hardened. I'm going in. Wait, Reiko, a voice shouted. That's dangerous. You might get hit by forming. I'm well aware of the risks, she replied. I'll use your ether jammer. But we haven't tested it yet. We don't even know if it will work against this thing. Reiko's eyes softened as she looked at the creator of the device. I have faith in your creation, Father. Hold it for just 10 minutes. I'll think of countermeasures by then. Got it, her father nodded, though his worry was palpable. Reiko activated the ether jammer, and for a brief moment, the golem stopped moving. It stopped, someone exclaimed, but Reiko shook her head. That's only temporary. It'll move again. Then we need to destroy it, or at least find a way to completely stop it, another soldier urged. Do we know why it started moving in the first place? Reiko asked, her mind racing. There was something else we excavated along with the golem, one of the archaeologists said, stepping forward with a necklace in hand. This necklace, it's emitting a faint magical power. Reiko's eyes narrowed. A magic device? She asked, recognizing the artifact. I'll borrow this, she said, snatching the necklace. We have to hurry and resolve its magic formula. Power. Wavelength. Ratio. Harmony. Oscillation control. She muttered under her breath, analyzing the device. I get it now, she shouted suddenly. Reiko, I found a way to stop it. Just hold on a little longer. Reiko nodded, her grip tightening as she prepared herself. As I expected. Just stand still for a little longer. The golem's sensors flared to life. Threat. Unable to eliminate. Insufficient ether. Danger. Defensive maneuver level 5. Highest level protocol, it droned. What's happening, Reiko? Someone called out, panic rising. Reiko's face grew pale as she realized what was about to occur. It's emitting a large amount of heat. Don't tell me. It's going to self-destruct. The soldiers froze. A golem with that much magic power. If it explodes, everything around it will turn to dust. Let's evacuate, someone shouted, but Reiko remained steadfast. No, it's too late for that. She bit her lip, making a final decision. This will be hit or miss. But I believe in you too. With a deep breath, Reiko shouted, use cooling at maximum output. Got it, her father replied, activating the device. The temperature around the golem plummeted, and as the heat dissipated, Reiko could only shout one last command. Just stop already. The battle had taken a sudden turn. Stop! A voice yelled as a loud crack echoed through the air. Another crack followed, then another. Reiko, a frantic voice called out. Are you all right? Reiko, bruised but determined, responded, of course, I'm your daughter after all. She smiled weakly, her breath ragged. Reiko. Her companion sighed in relief. Thank goodness. But the ether jammer, it broke due to overloading. You really pushed that thing hard. Please forgive me, Reiko said quietly, guilt flashing across her face. It's because of me. What are you saying? Came the sharp reply. We can just build another one. Just then something stirred. Wait. What's moving again? Reiko exclaimed. Panic shot through her veins. If this continues, there will be a magical explosion. It's fine, Reiko, a calm voice interjected. Your Highness, if you would? Of course. The royal figure raised their hand. Stand still, they commanded. The tension in the air dissolved as the giant machine halted its movement, entering standby mode. Stop command received, a monotone voice confirmed. Transferring authority to user with prescribed magic level. As I expected, said a voice nearby. It's set to only take orders from a specific magic wavelength. I'm really glad we found the controller. Just as you predicted, Mr. Jean. Yeah, Jean replied thoughtfully. Only your Majesty's lineage has authority over the giant golems. Back when I was analyzing the magic implement, I discovered it was designed to respond only to specific wavelengths, Jean continued. Now, in the aftermath, we can study the golems more closely. Could you guide me to the hangar, please? Sure, the guide nodded, relief washing over him. Since the giant golem's rampage, the town has started to repair itself. As they walked toward the hangar, Jean explained. The cause of the golem's rampage was recorded in the controller log. The magic power was filled to a critical level from the ether the golems had excavated. Once reactivated, it shifted into self-defense mode. And, believing it was in an enclosed space, it attempted to escape. But due to Reiko's intervention, the golem heightened its defense level, ultimately deciding to self-destruct when it realized its ether reserves were insufficient. The group paused for a moment, contemplating the details Jean had just revealed. I see, Reiko said quietly. Thank you, Mr. Jean. You really helped us out there. Originally, I wanted to celebrate this victory with the whole country, but considering the state of the capital, maybe it's not the right time. Yes, Jean nodded. There's much work to do, including a reconstruction plan. I've analyzed Shiro's situation and have a few suggestions, particularly regarding public health. Public health? Someone asked, raising an eyebrow. Jean handed over a compiled report. Yes, water supply, sewage systems, public baths, and nutrition management. It's vital to keep pathogens and diseases under control. A quiet determination settled over the group as they prepared to face the enormous task ahead. Yet, despite the gravity of the situation, Reiko couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. I'm really grateful for all these discussions, Mr. Jean, she said. Let's quickly move forward with the restoration plan. Understood, Jean replied with a firm nod. For Urza, for Reinhardt, for your hometown, and for helping the people. As the sun began to set, the group stood united. Reiko smiled softly, knowing the path ahead would be long, but it was one she was ready to face, side by side with her allies. And now, Reiko added with a touch of embarrassment, it's time for your award ceremony, Mr. Jean. As the accolades were given, everyone celebrated quietly, reflecting on the battle won, the city saved, and the challenges yet to come. It was a bustling day on Penglai Island. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the landscape. Lord Jean stood in the middle of the courtyard, confusion clouding his expression. Penglai Island? Elsa isn't here. What's going on? He asked, his voice rising in disbelief. One of his attendants bowed low, trembling slightly. My apologies, my lord. I prepared a party to celebrate your award on Penglai, but she isn't here. She might have moved somewhere through a warp gate. Jean narrowed his eyes. But the warp gates shouldn't work without my magic. Then why? She said she wanted to be the first to greet you, Lord Jean, the attendant added cautiously. Jean sighed and crossed his arms. All right then. Which warp gate do you think she used? The attendant shrugged helplessly. I couldn't tell you unless I confirmed each one by one. There are just too many. Jean groaned in frustration. Why do there have to be so many warp gates? Suddenly a voice interrupted. Father. Jean turned to see his daughter Reiko approaching. What's up, Reiko? He asked, raising an eyebrow. Why not use the radar? She suggested casually. Jean blinked. The radar? I didn't even think of that. He shook his head, frustrated with himself. I was in such a hurry that I forgot about it. It's been in maintenance recently, so I didn't consider it. Reiko smirked. So, where is Elsa now? Just then a magic reaction buzzed through the air. A magic reaction? Huh. Meanwhile, in a distant, unfamiliar land, Elsa found herself stumbling out of a warp gate, bewildered. Now, where am I? She muttered. I thought I'd wait for Big Bro Jean first, but I accidentally entered the wrong warp gate. This is bad. If I don't get back quickly, he'll be mad at me. She looked around in confusion, noticing a small boy staring at her. A kid? Is that a big sis? Never seen one before in this area. The boy approached, curious. Where'd you come from? Elsa shrugged, still unsure. I don't know where I came from. Oh, so you're a lost child, the boy exclaimed. Well, it can't be helped. I'll guide you to my village elder's place. Elsa smiled weakly. There's a village? I'm happy to hear that. As they walked, the boy looked up at her with wide eyes. Big sis is just like Big Bro. You have a big brother? Do I resemble him? Elsa asked, amused. The boy shook his head vigorously. Nope. But Big Brother suddenly appeared here one day, just like you. Elsa's heart skipped a beat. Big Brother Jean. He's my family. Big Bro Jean is part of your family? The boy asked, confused. Elsa laughed softly. Yes, if you're talking about Jean Nito, then that's him. The boy's eyes lit up. Wait. Does that mean you're my sister too? Elsa smiled warmly. Would it? Probably. I'm Elsa. What's your name? I'm Hannah. From Kana village, the boy replied proudly. Suddenly, a voice called from the distance. Hey, everyone. He's back. Elsa's heart raced. Who's back? She whispered, her breath catching. A figure appeared on the horizon, walking toward them. Hannah gasped. Big Bro Jean. Elsa's eyes filled with relief as she watched Jean approach. "Big brother," she called out, running toward him. Jean smiled as he opened his arms. "Elsa, I'm home." Elsa hugged him tightly. "Don't disappear like that again." Jean chuckled. "Yeah, I won't." The village chief approached, grinning widely. "Welcome back, Mr. Jean. We were all worried. Come, let's celebrate your return. Feast! Feast! Bring the sake." Elsa glanced at Jean, biting her lip. "Sorry, big bro Jean." Jean raised an eyebrow. Why?" "For entering the warp gate." Elsa murmured. Jean waved it off with a laugh. "Nah, it was my bad. The warp gate reacted to the brooch's magic. Didn't it? We were still working out the random teleportation problem. I ended up here by chance too." Elsa sighed in relief. "I've been wondering when I should come back here. I didn't leave under the best circumstances. I might have hesitated if you hadn't come." Jean placed a hand on her shoulder. "Thank you, Elsa. I should be the one thanking you." "For finding me?" Hannah tugged on Jin's sleeve. "Big brother. Grandma's back." Jean chuckled and nodded. "In that case, I should probably go greet her." Martha, an elderly woman, approached with a smile. "Welcome back, Jean." Jean gazed at the village, his home, and smiled. "I'm home. I'm glad to be back." "Yeah. Really," Elsa whispered as they all gathered around, ready to celebrate Jin's return. For the first time in a long while, everything felt right again. In the quiet village of Kana, excitement buzzed in the air as Jean Naidu returned home. His friend Reinhardt greeted him with enthusiasm. "Are you interested in alchemy?" Reinhardt asked, eyes sparkling with curiosity. "I'm super interested." Jean replied, eager to dive into his studies. As he made his way back, he explained to the villagers that he needed to visit Shuro to further explore alchemy. He had to hurry, though, as he was curious about the new possibilities awaiting him. "I should thank Ligia for talking to the king about Count Walter's suspicions against me next time we meet," Jean thought. But first he had to find out where his friend Jean-san was. "Where's Jean-san?" he asked a nearby villager. "He just left," came the quick reply. "What?" Jean exclaimed, a hint of disappointment in his voice. The lure of alchemy was too powerful, and he found himself easily following Reinhardt to the Randall family territory, specifically the Eschenbach branch. Once they arrived, Jean noticed something peculiar about Toa Eschenbach. "Toa-san, are you here?" he called, but there was no response. "She's not answering," Reinhardt said, a little frustrated. "I heard she'd be here for several days, though." "Toa-san." Finally, a voice came from the back. "How noisy." "I'm busy, you know." "Saki." Reinhardt cheered, spotting her. "Oh, it was you, Reinhardt. I don't welcome others, but you're very welcome here." Jean noticed Saki's arm looked unusual. "What happened to that arm?" "It's decaying," she admitted. "But don't worry. I have something wonderful to show you." "Really?" Jean perked up, intrigued. As Saki led them to her lab, she handed Jean a jar. "This is a sap?" he asked, examining the amber-colored liquid. "Yes. It's an amber-colored sap. And it's actually maple syrup," Saki explained, her eyes wide with excitement. "Maple? You know about this?" Jean grinned. "Where I come from, we make this by simmering down sugar maple sap. It can be used as a sweetener." Saki's eyes lit up. "I should boil it down more, right?" "Exactly," Jean replied. "This batch isn't sweet enough yet." They worked together, and as they did, Jean admired Saki's passion for alchemy. "You're quite talented, Saki," he said sincerely. "But be careful with this black liquid. Could this be lacquer?" Jean pondered aloud, noticing its viscosity. "Yes, it's similar to the natural paint I know," Saki explained. "It can create a beautiful color and be used as an adhesive." Jean was impressed. "You really have a talent for alchemy." As they continued their experiments, Saki began to boil the syrup, and they shared insights on improving their concoctions. Saki was even taken aback by Jin's skills, realizing his title of Magi Craftmeister wasn't just for show. "I'd love to collaborate on something," Saki proposed, her enthusiasm palpable. Jean agreed, "Sure. Just let me use your materials, okay?" "Of course," she laughed, knowing that together they could create something special. As the aroma of maple syrup filled the air, Saki's excitement grew. The syrup is almost ready. It smells nice and has a different flavor compared to sugar, she declared, eager to share their creation with the village. Reinhardt watched with a smile as Saki's eyes sparkled with joy. This should be good enough to sell. We'll make this our region's specialty. But amidst the celebration of their success, Jean realized he had neglected his own needs. I've been so focused on research. I don't even know how long it's been since I last ate. Reinhardt chuckled. This is a good opportunity to learn your lesson. Cook something for yourself. With laughter and camaraderie, they embraced the journey of alchemy together, discovering the sweet taste of friendship and the magic that comes with collaboration. It was a bright morning, and Jean was enjoying a delicious stack of hotcakes topped with rich maple syrup. Phew! These hotcakes are so delicious. Above all, they go well with the maple syrup. They're so soft and sweet, he exclaimed, savoring each bite. I'm glad you like them, replied Reinhardt, a hint of pride in his voice. I don't have baking soda or baking powder, so they don't really expand. They're more like crepes rather than hotcakes. Stop it. Are you trying to kill Jean? How rude. Saki chimed in, recalling a past mishap. Remember when you poured the whole jar of spices into the pot? What came out was something black and brown. Did I do such a thing? Reinhardt stammered, recalling the culinary disaster. Well, cooking is different from alchemy, after all. Saki glanced at him, noticing the squint in his eyes. But you could still see what was in your hand, right? Reinhardt nodded. Well, it's hard to see something far away. So that's why I squint from time to time. Wait a bit. I have just the thing for you, Saki said, eager to help. I'm going to use your materials, okay? She got to work, using silver and copper to create something special. It's done. Here they're called glasses. Hang them over your ears. Reinhardt placed the glasses on his nose and gasped. Whoa! I can see everything clearly. This is shocking. Up until now, I could only see things as blurry images. Have you finally gone crazy? Saki laughed, sharing in his excitement. This is something like a microscope, he asked, still amazed. Exactly. You should be thankful for your good vision now, Saki said. I'll even make a pair for you too if your eyesight deteriorates, Reinhardt. Now I have one more thing to look forward to in my old age, he chuckled. The conversation shifted as Saki's tone became serious. By the way, what happened to your assistant? Reinhardt sighed. She left because I didn't pay her salary for 3 months. Huh? That's why we don't have any food left. I'm not sure how I'm going to survive the next few weeks. Do something about it, Saki urged. All right, I can do something about your food, he replied, determined to help. While Reinhardt set to work, Saki freshened up, emerging with a completely new look. Oh, they're not wrong when they say makeup can transform people. That's not true. You're already pretty to begin with, Reinhardt reassured her, noticing the glow on her face. By the way, where's Elsa? Saki asked, looking around. Oh, Elsa is currently at Jin's place, Reinhardt replied, concern flickering in his eyes. She couldn't refuse the marriage proposal. What do you mean? Saki asked, surprised. The man who came to propose to Elsa was actually Marquis Golem, Reinhardt explained. He likes young women, especially those in their teens. That's crazy. Of course Elsa would refuse. If she comes to the wedding, she'd most likely run into him. Saki exclaimed. Reinhardt sighed. Well, I want her to come, but Elsa deserves to live freely. It's my wish as her cousin. Just then, Jean entered the room with an invitation letter. What's this? An invitation to the upcoming Golem exhibition? And there are arranged marriage invitations for you too. Arranged marriage invitations? Saki shouted. Why are there arranged marriage invitations for me? Is this the one? The invitation to the Golem exhibition? Jean asked, grinning. Why are you saying this, Jean? It's only natural for you. You are a magic craftmeister. It would be strange for someone like you not to have any arranged marriage invitations. Jean groaned. If you really have someone you love, maybe you should just marry her to avoid more problems. Someone I love, Jean murmured, lost in thought. As the day unfolded, the group shared laughter, food, and dreams for the future, knowing that together, they could face whatever surprises life threw their way. In the Grand Randall mansion, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement and anticipation. The wedding of Reinhard Randall von Adamus and Berthe Geist von Scarlet was about to begin, and security was tight. Land 21, no abnormalities here, reported a guard, his voice steady through the comms. Got it. Continue monitoring, came the reply from Jean, who was stationed nearby, his eyes scanning the area. It seems there are no suspicious people, another guard noted. Don't forget to check for suspicious objects, Jean reminded, though he felt a twinge of overcaution. Today was a day of celebration, and nothing unfavorable should occur. You're right. Just like the incidents during Elias's boat race or the Aglair Golem garden party, another guard agreed, glancing nervously around. As they spoke, Jean adjusted his new glasses, which helped him see things more clearly. Thanks to these glasses, I can see a lot more now. It's really helpful. By the way, are those presents for Reinhardt? Elena asked, noticing the gifts Jean was carrying. The big one is from me. The small one is from Elsa, Jean explained. As the wedding ceremony began, the crowd settled in, anticipation hanging in the air. A voice echoed through the hall. We're here to inform you about the wedding of the fourth son of the Randall family, Reinhard Randall von Adamus, with the eldest daughter of the Geist family, Berthe Geist von Scarlet. I, Berthe Geist von Scarlet, promise to change my name to Berthe Randall von Scarlet from this moment on, she declared, her voice steady. Among the attendees, Saki felt a pang of nostalgia. She had been friends with Reinhardt for so long, sharing moments and secrets. Can you keep what happened here a secret? She asked Jean, her voice low. Yeah, of course, Jean replied, understanding the weight of her emotions. Only you and Elsa know how I feel. As the ceremony continued, Saki and Jean exchanged glances, both lost in their thoughts about love and friendship. The wedding proceeded smoothly with cheers and laughter filling the air. However, outside the festivities, tension brewed among a few guests. Gunther Kirchhoff von Dusk confronted another attendee, his voice laced with arrogance. What do you know about Reinhardt? Saki stepped forward, her expression fierce. You have no right to disrespect him. Reinhardt has worked hard as a diplomat. Without him, the world would have been more chaotic. Gunther scoffed. And who are you to oppose me? After a tense standoff, Saki urged Jean to return to the celebration. Come on. We need to congratulate them. It's the wedding day of our important friends. As the celebrations continued, gifts were exchanged, and laughter echoed in the hall. Thank you. I'll treasure this, Reinhardt replied, his smile genuine and warm. As the day drew to a close, Jean turned to Elsa, who had quietly observed the celebrations. I wish I could see them soon, he said, his voice softening. Maybe I can help with that, she offered. Jean took a deep breath. Elsa, I want you to be together with me. With hearts full of dreams and friendship strengthened, the wedding at Randall Mansion became a memorable celebration of love and new beginnings. In the vibrant kingdom of Shuro, the air buzzed with excitement and uncertainty. In a quiet chamber filled with soft light, Elsa gazed longingly at Jean, her heart racing with unspoken words. I want you to be together with me, she exclaimed, her voice trembling with hope. Please take care of me, Elsa continued, her eyes shimmering with sincerity. Thank you, Jean. I may be imperfect, but I promise to make you happy. Jean smiled, feeling a warmth blossom in his chest. Yeah, that's how it is. Oh, congrats, Elsa. Another voice chimed in, pulling their attention. It was Reinhardt, a close friend who had been quietly observing the tender exchange. Also, Jean-san, thank you. Don't mention it, Jean replied, trying to hide the blush creeping onto his cheeks. I'm sure you will be able to support him too. Yeah. I'll do my best, Elsa nodded, her resolve firm. However, anxiety flickered in her eyes. But now I feel like I have to greet her parents for the engagement. This case will get even messier. Reinhardt raised an eyebrow. What should I do? Why don't you consult with me? Good idea, Elsa replied, relief washing over her. As they began to strategize, the conversation shifted to a troubling subject. So, what should we do about Theodoric's case and her disappearance up until now? Reinhardt asked, glancing at Elsa. I heard from Saki that the engagement was called off, she said quietly. Called off? Why? Reinhardt exclaimed, startled. Apparently, he couldn't come to my wedding. I'm not sure if he's seriously ill or something, but he has no time for engagements, Elsa explained, worry etched on her face. That's quite concerning. You need to report this to her parents, right? No, Elsa sighed, looking defeated. Her father, George, is currently undergoing treatment, and I think it's better to wait some time before going there. The atmosphere lightened as Jean interjected. Well, it's a good thing you're here. I'm glad I could see you, Elsa-san. I heard about your situation from Jean and Reinhardt. It must have been tough. Yeah. But thanks to that, I'm happy right now. Elsa grinned, her spirit lifting. You've been bragging about your love life, teased Saki, who had just arrived with a cheerful demeanor. I hope you can find a good man too, sis. Just then, Jean felt the pressure of expectations mounting. This place is crazy, he muttered, feeling the weight of being the esteemed Magi Craftmeister. Jean, you aren't just an ordinary Magi craftsman, are you? Saki inquired, her curiosity piqued. As they shared laughter and stories, Jean felt a bond grow stronger among them. Finally, he took a deep breath and decided to share his secret. Well, I suppose this is a good time to tell you about me and my master. His voice held a mix of pride and nostalgia as he recounted tales of his journey. I spent 1,000 years searching for a successor, and that successor is the inheritor of the world's best engineering magic and wisdom. I am the real Magi Craftmeister. The room fell silent, absorbing the weight of his revelation. I see. I didn't know such a thing could happen, Saki gasped. Reinhardt smiled knowingly. I always knew you were special, Jean. We're all friends here, nothing will change. Exactly. Elsa chimed in, her heart swelling with affection for her friends. In that moment they formed a bond deeper than friendship, like family. The Jean family, they declared in unison, laughter echoing in the chamber. As they celebrated their newfound connection, Jean felt a weight lift from his shoulders. No longer burdened by secrets, he looked forward to what the future held, ready to face any challenge alongside Elsa and their friends. Once upon a time, in a bustling town known for its technological innovations, a group of scholars gathered to discuss the future of transportation and the role of golems in society. The day's topic was clear: vehicles and golems. One scholar began enthusiastically. Have you ever imagined a golem taking the form of a horse? Or perhaps a carriage golem? He paused for a moment. I believe golems have many applications. They can perform tasks that humans simply cannot. Golems are sincere, they never tire, are tough and much stronger than humans. These characteristics make them valuable contributors to society. He gestured toward a massive structure. The vehicle you see here uses the body of a golem. This model can travel through treacherous wastelands, where horse-drawn carriages would falter. A curious audience member interjected. So, is it a horse-shaped golem? The scholar smiled. No, it's not. While a horse-shaped design might seem logical, it would limit loading capacity and comfort. This model, which we call a car, simplifies the design and equips the golem with wheels for travel on level surfaces. Unlike traditional carriages, it doesn't require horses and is far more efficient. The audience buzzed with excitement at this revolutionary idea. In other words, the scholar continued, golems don't need to adhere to specific shapes. Their potential is limitless. Imagine, for instance, the hot air balloon. Powered only by heat, it floats with ease, but requires wind magic to steer. Golem arms could make that navigation even easier. As the crowd mulled over these new ideas, Marcus Grimwald, another brilliant scholar, stepped forward. Next up is my lecture, he announced. I have a new suggestion for golems, one that doesn't rely on a mana tank. The audience leaned in, intrigued. You need magic power to move golems, Marcus explained. Typically, we use a catalyst like a magi crystal to store that magic power, but there are limits. However, I've created a device, this magic generator, that can supply magic power continuously, allowing golems to operate almost indefinitely. The crowd erupted in applause, marveling at the innovation. This is incredible, someone exclaimed. You truly are amazing, Marcus. With modesty, Marcus replied, I couldn't have done it without my master's teachings. He then led the crowd to the balcony for a demonstration. With a single command, a golem began casting magic, showcasing the power of the magic generator. This is the future of our technology, Marcus declared. With this power, our nation will be unmatched. However, the demonstration was interrupted by an unexpected surge of magic. A bolt of lightning struck the giant golem, causing chaos. Threat level increased. Deploying automatic defenses, the golem system announced. Thankfully, Marcus's quick-thinking assistant, Reiko, raised a protective barrier, preventing any serious damage. It was just a moment, but I saw a spark, she said. We were lucky to avoid disaster. Despite the near miss, the demonstration continued. The scholars and engineers marveled at the possibilities, realizing that golems, whether in humanoid form or otherwise, had the potential to revolutionize their world. In the aftermath, the king, who had quietly observed the events, spoke up. I'm responsible for this exhibition. Please focus on containing the damage and evacuating the people. Golems are invaluable in situations like this, and we must remember their potential for both creation and destruction. With a sigh of relief, the day ended with no casualties, and the scholars were left to ponder the incredible advancements in golem technology. Despite the risks, the future looked brighter than ever. As the crowd dispersed, a young scholar turned to his friend. We've just witnessed something incredible, haven't we? Yeah, his friend replied, eyes wide with excitement. But even I couldn't have imagined how far golems could take us. The story of Marcus Grimwald and his magic generator would soon spread across the land, marking the dawn of a new era in golem-driven technology. In a small, dimly lit room filled with an air of tension, Father stood at the entrance, his voice shaking with emotion. I've returned home, he declared, his eyes filled with regret. I'm very sorry for worrying you. Elsa gasped in surprise. What? Dear. Stop it, she exclaimed, her heart racing with a mixture of relief and concern. Reinhardt's anger flared as he stepped forward. Shut up. It was wrong to let her go with you to Elias. She's been rebellious ever since. You're a walking disgrace. F.A. Father? Elsa stammered, feeling the weight of the accusations. Suddenly, a playful voice chimed in from the shadows, breaking the tension. Fufufu, that was close. It was Elena, appearing seemingly out of nowhere. What did you do? Reinhardt shouted, astonished. It's okay. I simply made him unconscious with faint magic, Elena replied, a hint of mischief in her tone. First of all, why are you here? Elsa demanded, still trying to process the chaotic scene. Era, you gave me an instruction, didn't you? To free those who have been brainwashed. Elena responded casually. Realization washed over Elsa. Huh? Don't tell me. Yes. I'm here to remove the brainwashing from this person. Once I finish this one, everyone in this country will have returned to their former selves. Elena declared with determination. Please remove it quickly. Elsa urged, her voice trembling with urgency. Elena began to explain the complex nature of the brainwashing, revealing how it had induced strong mental oppression and anxiety. However, the low quality of the suggestion has led to a half-hearted increase in aggression. After all, the skill of the caster greatly influences the effect, she elaborated. So, can it be removed? Elsa asked, hope igniting within her. Of course. But it requires a process of untangling a messy thread. It'll take a while, and while doing that, it could even lead to issues like blood vessel rupture. Elena warned, her expression serious. Blood vessel rupture. If bleeding occurs, there's nothing I can do. Elsa exclaimed in panic. Don't worry, Jeannie. I'll do the treatment, Elena reassured her, determination shining in her eyes. With renewed focus, they set up the room for the procedure. Let's do it, Reiko, Elsa said, her spirit lifting as she took charge. As they prepared, Elena reminded Elsa to start the diagnosis and visualize the condition of Father's body. As Elena began to cast the healing spell, tension filled the air. Starting mental restore, she announced, channeling her magic. Father! She cried out as the intensity of the magic surged. A suggestion that multiplies one's fear and anxiety, Elena murmured, her expression grave. As Elsa pieced together the source of Father's turmoil, she realized he had been worried about them, overwhelmed by the fear of losing his family. It's okay, Father. You don't have to keep secrets now. Anymore, Elsa reassured, her voice softening. This is taking too long. Let's take a look, Elena said as she continued the procedure, noting the changes in Father's condition. After several tense moments, the room filled with a sense of hope as Father began to stir. Dear! Marlene, his wife, rushed to his side, Concern etched on her face. I was worried sick, you know? She added, tears in her eyes. As father regained consciousness, he muttered, I feel like I've struck Marlene and Elsa with my hand. That was just a dream, Elsa soothed, her heart swelling with relief. I see. Although it was in a dream, I'm still a bad father for hitting you. Please forgive me, father said, his eyes downcast. Yes, of course I forgive you, Elsa replied firmly. Welcome back, father. I'm home, Elsa, he whispered, his heart finally at peace. The family stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that together, they could overcome anything.